Welcome to Think Outside the Box. Our deep dive today, well, it's into a topic that's pretty mind-blowing, to be honest. We're talking about the supposed resurrection of the dire wolf. And just a quick reminder for you, this deep dive is part of your Teacher Victoria ESL class.
Yeah, it's definitely grabbed everyone's attention, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh.
We hope you find it informative and engaging, and if any questions or thoughts come to mind as we go through this, be sure to drop Teacher Victoria a message about this class. But let's get into it. We're going to break down the science behind this, what it actually means, and why it's causing so much debate.
Right, because it's not as simple as it might sound at first.
No, not at all. We've got reports from CNN and other sources, and our mission here is to untangle it all for you.
So let's start with the basics. Colossal Biosciences, you know the company, they're the ones working on bringing back the woolly mammoth and the dodo.
And the Tasmanian tiger.
Oh, right. Yes, the Tasmanian tiger as well. Well, they've just announced on Monday, April 7th, 2025, that they've created 3 dire wolf pups.
3 dire wolf pups.
Yeah, and they're calling it the world's first successfully de-extincted animal.
De-extincted, that's a big word. Now, for those of us who maybe need a little refresher, what exactly was a dire wolf? I mean, we all know them from Game of Thrones.
Right, the inspiration for those fearsome wolves.
Exactly, but tell us about the real deal.
Okay, so the dire wolf, its scientific name is Inocyene dirus, and it roamed North America, way back in prehistoric times.
The top predator.
Yes, a top predator. They died out about 12,500 years ago. That's around the end of the last ice age. Now, they were similar to gray wolves, but bigger.
How much bigger?
Generally larger, yeah. They had a broader head, a thick coat of fur, and they had these incredibly powerful jaws.
Wow, powerful jaws, huh? That's a bit scary to imagine. So how did Colossal Biosciences manage to bring them? It's like something out of science fiction.
It really is. They used cutting-edge technology, starting with extracting ancient DNA. They got it from a 13,000-year-old tooth, and get this, a 72,000-year-old skull.
That's ancient.
I know. From that, they were able to assemble two high-quality dire wolf genomes.
Genomes, meaning their entire genetic makeup.
Right, and then they compared those genomes to living canids, like wolves, jackals, foxes.
To see what makes a dire wolf unique.
Exactly. They were looking for specific genetic traits, things like the white coats that some dire wolves had, or their longer, thicker fur.
So they were pinpointing the dire wolf's genetic signature. What did they do with that information?
Well, that's where the gene editing comes in. They used CRISPR technology, which is incredibly precise, and they made about 20 edits in 14 genes of gray wolf cells.
CRISPR. That's the technology that's been making headlines for all sorts of things.
Yeah, it has. It allows them to swap specific gray wolf gene variants with the dire wolf ones. It's like editing the recipe.
So they're tweaking the gray wolf DNA to be more dire wolf-like.
Exactly. And then they cloned these edited cells. The most promising ones were transferred into donor eggs, which were implanted into surrogate mothers.
Surrogate mothers. Who were they?
Get this. Domestic dogs.
Wow, domestic dogs giving birth to something that could have taken down a mammoth. That's wild. And that's how we got these 3 pups.
Yep. 2 males born October 1st, 2024, and then a female on January 30th, 2025.
So where are these pups now?
They're in a special facility, about 2,000 acres, very secure, zoo-grade fencing, they call it. It's got security, drones, live cameras. Colossal says it's all certified by the American Humane Society and registered with the USDA. They're really trying to, show they're taking good care of these animals.
It sounds like it. But here's the big question, the one everyone's asking. Are these pups really dire wolves? Colossal's claiming they've de-extincted the species, but is that really true?
Well, it depends who you ask. Love Dalen, he's an expert in evolutionary genomics and an advisor to Colossal. He's saying that genetically, these animals are like 99.9% gray wolf.
Really?
Yeah. He calls them a dire wolf phenotype, which means they look like dire wolves.
Okay, so they have the dire wolf look, but not necessarily the full genetic package. Other experts are calling them proxies or hybrids.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. That's because even though they've made those gene edits, it's still just a tiny part of the entire dire wolf genome.
Right, we're talking millions and millions of base pairs.
And it's not just the genes themselves, it's the learned behaviors, the things that are passed down through generations. We don't know if they'll behave like true dire wolves.
And there's another wrinkle to this, right? The relationship between dire wolves and gray wolves is more complicated than we thought.
Oh yeah, that's important. Recent research has shown that dire wolves, they weren't as closely related to gray wolves as we used to believe.
So they're more distant cousins.
More like distant relatives, yeah. Their lineages diverged over 5 million years ago.
5 million years, that's a huge evolutionary gap.
It is. So even with those gene edits, we're not looking at a true replica of a prehistoric dire wolf. It's more like, well, it's a gray wolf with some dire wolf traits.
And just another quick reminder for you, this deep dive is part of your Teacher Victoria ESL class. Be sure to drop Teacher Victoria a message if you have questions or thoughts.
Absolutely.
So we've got these animals. They're not exactly pure dire wolves, but they're something new. What are the implications here? Colossal talks a lot about animal welfare. Are they doing enough to ensure these pups have good lives?
It seems like they're making a real effort. The facility sounds pretty impressive, and they've got those certifications from the American Humane Society and the USDA.
And they're pointing out that the technology they developed could be used to help endangered species. Like they've cloned 2 litters of red wolves using a less invasive method.
Which is amazing. That could be a game changer for conservation efforts.
It could, but it also raises questions about priorities. You know, we have so many species struggling to survive right now. Should we be focusing on bringing back extinct ones instead?
It's a valid point. Where should we be putting our resources?
And what about releasing these new dire wolves into the wild? Is that even on the table?
It's unlikely, at least for now. We have enough trouble managing gray wolf populations, and introducing a new predator could have unforeseen consequences. We'd need to study them carefully, understand their behavior, their impact on the ecosystem. It's not a simple decision.
So if they're not meant for the wild, what is their purpose? Why create them in the first place?
That's the core question, isn't it? It makes us think about the ethics of de-extinction, the reasons behind it. Is it purely scientific curiosity, public interest? Or are there other goals we haven't even considered?
This whole resurrection of the dire wolf, it's not just a science story, is it? It raises some really big questions about genetic engineering, our relationship with extinct species, and how we approach conservation. What are your final thoughts on this?
It's fascinating, but also a bit unsettling. We're entering an era where we have the power to manipulate life in ways we never could before, and with that power comes a huge responsibility.
Absolutely. We need to think carefully about the consequences of our actions. Well, we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought. And one last reminder, this is part of the Teacher Victoria ESL class, so don't forget to drop Teacher Victoria a message about this class with any questions or thoughts you might have.
It's a discussion that's just beginning, really. We've barely scratched the surface. If we can bring back extinct animals, should we? And if so, under what circumstances? What are the long-term implications for the animals and for the planet as a whole? These are questions we all need to grapple with.
It's definitely a conversation that needs to continue. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time on Think Outside the Box.